Yo, what's going on, everybody? It is 3 p.m. here in Chicago. Time for another live stream. Today is Wednesday, January 20th, 2021. Hold on for a minute here. Oh, this is Cyborg. My daughter is reading this book and she wants help identifying the characters. It's a flip-up book, pretty good. It's Cyborg. So sorry about the interruption. She is trying to teach herself to read, I think, today, and she's doing a great job. And so she just needs some help with some of the words, and mainly the names of the characters, and basically all the words. But she's 4, so she's right where she needs to be, but she's having fun. How are you guys doing today? It is a beautiful day here in Chicago. I'm actually hot right now. This is the first time I've been like hot inside in months, really. But I forgot just how much sun we get in this apartment when it's a sunny day outside today. Hopefully you guys are all doing well. Everyone that's listening in on the podcast version for today, thank you so much for doing that. I hope you're enjoying your run. And for everyone watching this on YouTube after the fact, welcome. Glad to have you here. Before I forget, I do want to mention today that I'm also going to be on another live stream later tonight at 6 p.m. Central Time. That's just 3 hours from now. I'll be with Chase the Summit. I'll be on that website or that channel. Dave and I will be doing a quick interview. I don't know about quick, but we'll be doing a live stream and hanging out. So that'll be later this evening. So if you got to, if you want to check me out there, I think that'll be a fun time. All right, let's see who we got in here today. Let's see. Someone was asking me about this T-shirt. Yes, I forget where is that? Question. Someone asked if I'm wearing the over. Okay, great. Great. Someone asked if this is the oversized shirt that I got from Reebok yesterday. Yes, and I'm wearing like the same color pants, and they're also oversized. So I feel like I'm. My wife thinks that I'm a yoga instructor. You're showing everybody your LOL pets. Here, I'll show them. It goes up here. There's the camera. You got to give it a second. There you go. LOL
in the
pets.
back?
In the back? Okay.
And
yeah, it's a bird.
Top.
And the top? Okay. The bun?
And the bottom.
And the bottom, the feet? Okay. Here you go. All right. But it makes me feel like my wife thinks I'm like a new yoga instructor. I had my hair in a bun earlier when I got out of the shower. She thought I was going to teach a yoga class. I think that I look like I'm an inmate at a very fancy prison, or maybe like an Orwellian 1984. Because remember, like they all had outfits that were color coded. So I feel kind of like that. I was wearing the blue hoodie. It's over here. That's this thing over here. It's super comfortable, but like I'm hot in just a t-shirt. So like that was getting super, super hot. so that's that. All right. Let's see. Who else we got in here? Inez is here today. Says, hi, Kofuzi and everyone. Big day for the USA. Kofuzi's back in Chicago and a politician is back in the White House. I mean, I would say, we got a politician or someone that can lead us in the White House. So that's a big deal, I think. And that's nice to see. I'm getting a lot of buzz in here. Here we go. Is that better, guys? Oh, yeah, I thought something sounded funny. I've had to reset up everything every time, and I keep messing something up. But that makes the mic better. All right. But yeah, I think the big thing is that we've got a new president today. So far, nothing has happened. I mean, nothing disrupted his becoming president. And now it's time for him to get to work. So I'm excited about that. It was a beautiful day. Shannon was saying, couldn't stop smiling while watching the inauguration and seeing my IG post on the lakefront. It's a happy day. Yeah, we had like just a beautiful sunrise. I kind of forgot how awesome sunrises are here. And it was just a perfect day to have a really great sunrise. So very fitting for the day. Okay, you showed everyone that. She always, every time she comes over here, children are like fragility magnets. Anything they like attack weaknesses. So here I have a one cable. All the cables that I have here are extra long. There's one that could be longer but isn't, and she catches that one every single time she comes over here. So it's like tugging every time, and that's the one that's connected in my ears. So it's a little uncomfortable. But yes, it is a great day. Yeah, Frank says, has anyone tried invoking the guarantee on Darn Toughs and returning them to get a hole repaired? I've never had a hole in Darn Tough socks, so I don't know what that's like. I'm sure they would honor it because they have a lifetime guarantee. So there's that. Can you please stop touching that cable? You touched it every single time. It hurts my ears when you touch that one. Thank you. She came over here and she knew which cable it was and she just started tugging on it. 4-year-olds. Albert Long says, good day, everyone. What's going on, Albert? Brian Nee says, happy Inauguration Day, everyone. Awesome. Yeah, Martha says, a human is in the White House, correcting Innes. Yes, for sure. Brian says, is anyone going to try and register for one of the tunnel marathons tomorrow? I'm on the fence. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not even in like race registration mode today. And not for a while. I was watching the news last night, just trying to figure out what's going on with Chicago. Chicago's in like a not weird, but like it's in a definitely sending conflicting messages. So the mayor has extended her stay-at-home advisory, basically like telling people, not ordering people to stay home, but asking people to stay home if they can. But at the same time, the governor is reducing. Yeah, did you bump your head? Okay, you all right? All right. Yeah. Yeah, she was bouncing on a ball, one of those balls you sit on and bounce, and she was in the entire apartment. She was bouncing on it right by the edge of the table. So kids are kids. But at the same time, the governor is easing restrictions. We're moving from tier 3 to tier 2, so things are getting better. So like restaurants can start having indoor dining, I think today. Now, I think. But at the same time, the mayor is like, everybody stay home unless it's essential. So definitely some conflicting messages. Some differences. There's a gap between what you minimally are permitted to do or maximally permitted to do and what you should be doing. You know, there's a bit of a difference there. And I think that's going to confuse some people. But overall, it's got me in a mindset of like, I'm not even ready to register for races. But they did list out yesterday on the news saying that Illinois or Chicago anticipates right now, roughly, their estimate is that group 2, which is what I would be in, anyone 16 to 64 with no pre-existing medical conditions, could get vaccinated starting after May 31st. So I'm like, oh, that means like nothing before May, really, for me, in my opinion. I mean, other people are going to race, but for me, that's that. So, I mean, I know the tunnel marathons are after that, so could be timed right. I guess it would depend on when I get the first dose and then the second. I don't know. Lots to think about. For sure. Jeff says, hello, everyone. I am excited about the change in the White House, but didn't watch because I was worried something would happen and didn't want to see that live. Yeah, I mean, for that reason, I definitely had the TV on something else this morning because I was with the kids. So I didn't want them to have to like accidentally watch that. I will like have them sit down and watch some speeches later if they want to. But I didn't want to. I had no idea what was going to happen. I mean, I didn't think things were going to happen. I was mainly concerned that they were going to be like, we're cutting away from the president's speech now because something else has happened in some other state capital. So that was the kind of thing that I was really worried about. Whether that's rational or not, I don't know. But I definitely understand what you were thinking, Jeff. It's kind of like how I don't like to watch space shuttle launches live with the kids. I mean, thank goodness there hasn't been a disaster or a fatality in a long time. But I mean, I grew up with that, so that's something that I definitely remember. Jason Dahl says it's an inspiring and hopeful day so far. Awesome. Yes. Cal says, anyone who loves Hyperion Tempo have the endorphin speed? Trying to decide if I want to try the speeds for a spring half or use a Hyperion Tempo. Well, I do have both, and I do like both. I think for a half, I would still probably prefer the endorphin speed just because I really like running in the shoe. It's a little bit more stack height, so it's a little bit more comfortable for me. I mean, in terms of not just stack height, but more like cushion to it. But the Hyperion Tempo would be a really great choice too. That would be a lot of fun for a half marathon. So I think the good news is I don't think you're going to make a wrong choice with that. So, but it is, I mean, I think I would lean towards the speed. Lewis says, feel very happy for everyone and one of you in the U.S., but for us, we still have to wait 3 more years to get rid of our so-called president. Ooh, I'm sorry to hear that. And I got to tell you, stereotypically speaking, I do not know very much about the Mexican situation. Sorry about that. I think it was Chris that mentioned earlier. I was just looking at myself in this screen, wondering when any of these patches are going to get together. They're never going to get together. I mean, that's why I trim all this rest of the area usually. I meant to trim it today before the live stream, but I got caught up doing the laundry, and so that distracted me for a little while. So I usually like to keep this area trimmed just a little bit more because it never fills in. It just won't. It'll just be patches. But the reason why the laundry was so distracting is in the interim, since we moved out, we have a laundry room downstairs, which we could have a hookup in unit for an in-unit laundry, but it's one of those where it can only be a ventless, like all in one, so washer and dryer together. And those just take forever. And I hear that they don't really work all that well. So we've never got one, because in the building, there's a laundry room, and typically what we would do is every week, or when we had kids, it'd be every week, we would just go downstairs and just knock out 6 loads of laundry at once, or 5 loads, but usually 6. And that was nice. And then you just then move it all to the dryer and knock out that many loads of drying all at once. So it just was super fast, and you just spend a lot of time folding clothes. In the interim, since we've been gone, they replaced I think the washing machines are the same. I don't know if the washing machines are the same or not, but they're all it's the same layout. But now it's gone from a system. We used to have quarters to pay for the laundry, and now it's a system with an app. And it seems like they've way overthought like the issue of how to pay for laundry. But like now there's an app. Each machine, you can talk to it with your phone, and so like that's how you pay for it. So you sign up for an app, and then you build an account. Like you put money into an account, and then rather than hauling quarters around, you add money to it, and then you go up to the machine, you tell it what number you're standing in front of, it talks to it over the internet, and then it deducts it from your account, and then you hit the start button. I don't know why you can't just hit the start button from the phone, but I don't really care all that much. But so you have to hit the physical start button on the machine, and so you do the laundry that way. And it just took me a while to figure it, because I didn't have the app, and then I didn't have my wallet with me. So, and then for whatever reason, even though it was on my iPhone, it couldn't pull data from I couldn't use Apple Pay to load up into the account. So I had to go get my wallet. So it just took a while. And then the thing I like about it though, is that it tells you how many washers and dryers are available in the laundry room. So I could open up the app from up here and be like, if it's like a Saturday, I could be like, all right, is the laundry room full or not? Oh no, there's only one washer open. That's not going to work for me. So I'll just wait till later. So that was pretty cool. That was interesting. It's come a long way. I mean, we used to take the kids to like the currency exchange down the street, because it was the only place that would be like open when we would remember we needed to get quarters for laundry, because banks close early. And so we would take the kids there. And the ladies behind the bulletproof glass at the currency exchange would always be really nice and interact with our kids. But like whenever you go to I don't know if people have been to a currency exchange, but if you've ever been to a currency exchange, there's always someone with a story that's happening right at that moment. So it's always like, I don't know what the kids are going to get exposed to when we go in there. But it's usually not something that's like nice and chill. A relaxing of a transaction. It's always some sort of weird emergency with the story, with lots of levels of, well, you see what happened was, and so it's an interesting place. I'll kind of miss going there, but I kind of won't as well. But on the other hand, I'm like, oh man, they had to install like 3 different like routers in that room and all this stuff just to get the washing machine to get running. I feel like it's a pretty basic device. I don't think we need, do we really need to interject all this technology into it just to pay for laundry? Seems like a lot, but I don't know. All right. Sorry, that was a long rant about the laundry machines. Anyone that's new here today, welcome. I'd love to know where you're watching from. If you're new, if you feel comfortable sharing that. And if you have a question, feel free to toss it in there. Today's a Wednesday, so there's no like structure for today. We're just hanging out. and enjoying the beautiful day. At least here in Chicago, it's a cloudless sky. It's really nice, and just hanging out. So if you have a question, feel free to drop it in there. Let's see. Andreas Kaluza says, "Cheers from Hamburg, Germany." Well, awesome. Welcome, Andreas. Good to see you. And Sean says, "Mike, I didn't see your video, but were you like all emotional being back into your city?" Emotional isn't like the right word. It was really familiar, you know. I think the closest like running experience that I can say that I have to it is like somewhere in between the time that I went back and visited like my old like cross country course and when I get like a new pair of Pegasus shoes. So like both of those are very like familiar things. And you know, when it comes time to get like a new Pegasus, it's usually been a while since I've had one, and then you put it on, you're like, yep, that feels like that feeling that I'm very used to. And so there's like a comfort and like a nostalgia to it. But like I do that every year, you know. This was not, I mean, I've been gone 7 months, but it's been quite a 7 months. And then running on the lakefront's been even longer than that because that was closed for a while. So it's been like 9 months since I ran along the lakefront. So it was nice. There were some changes up there, but the steeplechase barriers were gone. Not the steeple. There weren't steeplechase barriers, but the barriers that I was using as steeplechase practice, those are gone. But you know, it's still like the same and still very, but also like, you know, it's like different now. I'm like, I don't recognize people out there anymore. So it's like a whole new set of people, and I don't know. So like very familiar and very different at the same time. So emotional wasn't right, but you know, like when I went back to run my old cross country course, I mean, it wasn't our home course, but it was one that like all the big meets were there in Homedale Park in New Jersey. And going back to that was like, you know, it was all new. Like I didn't recognize, I mean, I recognized everything, but I didn't, you know, like, cause it had been, you know, decades since I had been back there and run it. And so it was like, I knew the course well, but also I was kind of like seeing it for the first time too. So it was something in between like those two feelings to put it on to compare to other running things. Doug One says, "Hi from South Africa. Love your reviews. New Adidas Ultra Boost." Yeah, I will be getting that. I think it comes out in the US at the end of this month or the end of next month. So at the end of a month, January or February, I don't remember. I want to say end of January. But I'm pretty interested in it. I think that it's weird that Adidas puts it out when it does. But on the other hand, there's not a lot of other shoes that come out that time of the year. And so for me, it's always like, yep, definitely I'll pick it up. What else am I going to pick up? So, but I'm also pretty excited for it. I really liked the Ultra Boost 20. It didn't feel like a max cushion shoe, but it felt like a very good running shoe. But I also feel like most of the people that tend to buy Ultra Boost didn't like it. So they changed it yet again this year, and I think it's going to be more like the Ultra Boost 19, which I didn't like at all. So who knows? I mean, every year they kind of Adidas does this thing with the Ultra Boost where every year they've drastically changed everything, but it's also the same Ultra Boost feeling that you've always loved. And so I never know what I'm gonna get with an Ultra Boost. But the one thing I can tell you is that no matter what, there will be people that say that's not really a running shoe, even if I've just run like 15 miles in it, like for like the video for that review. Like if I just showed them footage from a 15-mile run, they'll be like, you can't run in that. I'd be like, I just ran a lot in it. And there'll be other people that say you can't run in it. And there'll be other people that will say like, these are the best shoes ever. So there's always, it's the Ultra Boost. It's like, it's almost comical. Like the way, like it's like a microcosm of like running YouTube in a way. Frank says Boston 10s look really different. Energy rods? Oh, do they? I haven't seen anything like that. Energy rods. I like it. I mean, I like it the metatarsal rods in the Adios Pro, I really like. If there's something like that in the Boston 10, that'll be interesting. I wouldn't have been surprised if like the Boston 10 ends up feeling a lot like the Adizero Pro. I could see that. But the Adizero Pro was heavy. So I like that the Boston 9 tends to be on the lighter side. So I hope they don't mess around with it too much. Sean Marshall says, this begs the question, what is a running shoe really? I mean, I don't know. There's a lot of people that play around with that idea quite a bit. And so, yeah, I think that it becomes more difficult when you're looking at the shoes that get sold at like the bigger box sports retailers. And I'm not talking about like Foot Locker necessarily, but like when you're talking about like Dick's Sporting Goods or does Sports Authority still exist? That's where I used to go. Like places like that where like the running shoe section has like a running shoe and then a whole bunch of other shoes from brands, but like I've never heard of those before. And they're all designed to hit like price points. At that point, and you start making a lot of those compromises, it starts to get like a little bit confusing. So it's a good question. Martha says, it was a study of that running microcosm to read the comments on Ed Bud's Ultra Boost 21 review. I mean, I bet I didn't watch his video because I knew I was going to review that shoe. But I did see he made a post on YouTube saying that like, responding to some of like the gist of it. And I was like, yeah, that sounds like an Ultra Boost review to me. If you love it, you're a sellout of some sort. If you hate it, it's because you're an idiot and you shouldn't have bought that shoe. It's not really a running shoe. So no matter what, like half the internet's mad at you. Remy's gonna wear his Ultra Boost tomorrow. Nice. Angry Burrow says hi from Sweden. Good to see you again, Angry. Meredith Roseman says, so this week has been a weird one for me. I just haven't been motivated to run, just not enjoyed it. Should I take the rest of the week off or keep doing short runs? I would say take another couple days off. If you're not feeling it, just I wouldn't push it too much. But, if it persists for a long time and it starts to kind of worry you, then I might do that. Just get out there and go for the run. I mean, it could just be a little bit of inertia that's keeping you from going out. Or, try and pick a different route if you can do that. If that's an option for you, that might be another way to just like kind of try something new that'll be exciting. And might get you out of like your rut. So it could be that. But my general feeling for a lot of people is, if they're not feeling very motivated to run, get some extra sleep. It could be a signal from your body saying that like you've been after it pretty hard. So take it easy and recharge. And if after recharging you're still not feeling it, try and shake things up a little bit. Angry Burrow says, are you interested in sneakers and lifestyle shoes? Or are you just focused on running shoes? If so, what's your favorite? I mean, I'm mostly running shoes. I occasionally will pick up a pair of like lifestyle shoes, but like I just have so many running shoes now that it gets hard for me to justify buying lifestyle shoes. My favorite right now is probably I have a pair of like Timberland boots. They're not like, like fully lace up Timbs. They're more like sport inspired Timberlands. And I really enjoy wearing those, especially in the wintertime. They're tall enough to keep most of the slush out when you're walking around in the city. But they're short enough that I don't feel like I have to spend like 2 minutes lacing them every time I want to just go outside and walk the dog. So I kind of like that. And then after that, pretty much anything with a gum sole, I'm a sucker for. So I really enjoy it. I really enjoy that. Ben Y says it's time for a down week for him too. His legs are extremely fatigued and struggling to run without expending a lot of energy and getting the heart rate up. Yeah, I was thinking that this week, if I didn't get those COVID results back and I needed to stay like quarantined, that like it wouldn't hurt for me to have a down week. And I still think I'm going to have a down week. I might go for a longer run on Saturday, but I skipped like having a midweek workout or even a midweek long run this week. And I might have a longer, easy run on Saturday, depending on the temperature. Just because like last week with all the snow in Iowa, my legs were just tired and shot. And like I was just exhausted all the time. So, I mean, that's a good good thing to be easy on yourself. I mean, right now, I'm not like, I'm not training for anything right now. Although I was thinking like, oh, maybe it's time to like, I was trying to think, talking earlier about tunnel marathons. I was thinking like, do I need to start thinking about marathons? Do I need to start training for something? But I'm also thinking like, let's think about like, when is the winter going to start letting up? And once that happens, let's start thinking about that, just so that way, I could kind of time things nice for the winter. Oh, Dr. Josh is saying he's starting to hate the upper on the Infinity 2s. Interesting. What's going on with that? I was concerned about it in the fact that it was like super puff, just a lot of puffiness. I don't really like, I mean, I don't know who's like, I don't know why the sneaker makers are all like making everything puffy, but I'd rather have like just spend more time and attention on the midsole and not so much weight and puffiness. But the Infinity 2 just has a lot more puffiness to it. Yeah, I mean, I didn't think it really needed to have so many fixes either. Like, I mean, I understand, like, I like the idea of the fly wire, but like, did you need it on the Infinity? I don't know. I guess I didn't run enough to really have a strong opinion one way or the other. Rats Chicago says, Kofuzi, I'm considering joining the Heartbreak Hill Running Club here in town for training plans and eventually, hopefully, people to run with. Do you have any experience with their training or club? Not personally. A couple of people that I've run with in Chicago here that I've met through, like just social media and other like running events, are members, or I don't know what they call themselves, team members or what. They don't have tryouts. It's kind of more like they have like a meet and greet day where it seems almost like it reminded me a lot of like a low key like fraternity rush kind of event or sorority rush kind of thing. But they have but I suppose it's more for like you to get to know them rather than them to get to like evaluate you or whatever. But like the people that I know that are there are fun people that love running, and so that's something that it's a good group of people. I can say that. And I don't know a ton about like the specifics of their training plans, but people tend to speak pretty highly of it, and are enjoying it. And so, yeah, I think it's a good one. I'm trying to think. I mean, in the area, there's CARA, Chicago Area Runners Association. There's like Chicago Endurance Sports. There's 3 Run 2, which I mean, I think that's probably more my speed, but they're far from where I am. So it's hard for me to get over there. So just their meetup times are not that convenient. Heartbreakers are closer to me, so that'd probably make more sense. Or like Fleet Feet Chicago, the one in Old Town, that's probably the closest one to me. I don't think that there's a separate like Fleet Feet group at the Southport location. That's also pretty close to me. But it's easier for me to run towards Old Town than it is to run like west. So that's, if you're looking for stuff, that seems to be pretty fun too. The Fleet Feet one tends to get more of a wider variety of people. I think Heartbreakers, because of like it's a more of a boutique running store, even more boutique than like Fleet Feet is, that I feel like it gets an even more like a runner nerd, I think is probably the better way. I don't want to say like real runners because that doesn't even mean anything, but like there's more like runner nerds in the Heartbreakers, I think. Not that you have to be super fast to be there. So that's my take on it. So let's see. I'm trying to see if Josh followed up with what's going on with that upper. Oh, he goes, the midfield feels more dense. Someone's telling me the shoe companies don't have to disclose changes in durability of the midsole. Yeah, I think that like it's rare when shoes from year to year like even shoes that are like, yep, midsole is the same, but the uppers, we just did some minor tweaks to make it more comfortable. Like, I do think that they're changing or tweaking the midsole. The other thing is, like, I don't know how much, consistency one can get from like I guess I'll say like kind of printing to printing, like when they like release a batch, like if they try to have the same formula like a year later, will it be the same? I'm not convinced that it's so replicable from year to year. And that's why I feel like, um, I mean, I do think that they tinkered with the formulation of the Zoom X in the next percent versus the 4%, but I feel like those foams are very different. Not very different. They still feel like Zoom X to me, but I just think that there are differences. But I would believe it that there could be some differences. I think that like the Peg 37 React foam is much more dense than Epic React foam or Terra Kyger React foam. Probably more similar to like Zoomfly 3 React foam and denser than Zoomfly 2 React foam. So like, they're, when they say it's like the same, there's React, but that's a trade name. It's not like a molecular formula, or even not even that the molecular formula isn't necessarily end all be all. It's the process. It can't be, I guess. So I don't know. And Josh said there's more before that one. Let me look up for that one. What else did he say? Brendan Cam's heading out for her girlfriend's birthday. Happy birthday to her. So, lasagna time. That's nice. There you go. He says, in the forefoot, it's too tight. Where the rand is, starting to smash the nails. The flap of the tongue, rip putting it on. Hey, you're the second person that has had that happen. And the poofiness is in the wire is starting to aggravate the tendons on the foot. That's a lot. That's a long list of things you don't like. Wow. I mean, they took a shoe that didn't really need much changing. And that's a lot of problems. Wow. Sorry to hear that. Sounds like they really messed it up. But you're the second person now. Well, I heard that, I still haven't seen that video, but Seth said he ripped his, people were telling me that Seth ripped his putting his on. That's crazy. Josh Saunders asked, do you know any ways to get over shin splints? Any stretchers or just rest? My understanding, and I'm not a medical professional, but my understanding of shin splints is that generally you can run through them. They're just uncomfortable. The way that I remember being told how to get through them was Advil before and ice after. Now that's not something I would recommend for like every day, but this is something that was like, I don't remember when it was. Shin splints I always remember having at the beginning of season, so I don't know if we would have necessarily had races that I was trying to get ready for. But yeah, that was kind of like what I was always told in high school. I would probably amend that so that way you're not taking like a whole bunch of Advil every day before you go running. Is I would might heat before, like if you have a heating pad, heat it up beforehand, and then ice down afterwards. We used to take Dixie cups, like the smaller ones that you can like rinse out with, like at the dentist. Fill them halfway and then tear them off, and then you got like a handle, and you can like rub down if this is your shin. Like go back and forth over the shin with that piece of ice. And afterwards, after a while, the ice like molds to like the curvature of your leg. So it's just ends up being really nice. So that's one thing that you can do. But the other thing that I would consider is like, if you can switch up to a shoe that's a little bit softer than what you've been running on, or if you can run on softer surfaces, that just will take a little bit of the impact off of your legs. All right. Let's see what else we got here. Let's see. David Lidstone's got to head out, but he's going to be back for the live stream on Chase the Summit channel. That's going to be late for you, isn't it, David? I appreciate that. And Josh says it depends. And Josh is a doctor, so he's not giving medical advice over the internet, but he has medical training. So it depends if it's the inner shin or the front shin. Band work will get of it quickly. Oh, there you go. I'm gonna have to look into that. That's a question I get a lot. Stevie76 likes the Advil plus ice. I've been seeing a lot of the commercials that Advil's been putting on, and I don't know if like this was a thing that they were really going to go heavy on this year for 2021, and maybe they pulled back from it just because with everything going on in the world. But I feel like this year, and I'm surprised, like I haven't seen it yet from either Tylenol or Advil or someone, that like with everyone trying to get active for like from New Year's resolutions, that the solution hasn't been like stick to your resolutions by taking Advil every day. You know, like I'm surprised we haven't seen that. Advil's kind of doing that. But I feel like that's like a very old school way of approaching it. Like it's not really in favor anymore. But like I remember in high school, people were just like, sure, to take a whole bunch. I remember like towards the end of, I think it was my senior year in high school. Maybe it was the end of my junior year in high school. My Achilles was just driving me crazy, which tends to happen when I put a lot of speed work type of strain on it. In high school, I was a jumper and a pole vaulter. So like the strains are very different than like long distance running. And towards the end of the season, the trainer was just like, yeah, just take like 3 Advil before practice, 3 Advils afterwards. And if you're feeling discomfort during the day, just pop another 3. And I was like, I could take like 9 to 12 of these a day. That's more than it says on the bottle. And they're like, well, maybe not every day, but yeah. So there was that. Mark Trio says, Advil ice, hyper ice. Oh, yeah. Rod Marco says, speaking of React and Nike shoes, what are your thoughts on the upcoming Peg 38 and Vaporfly Next Percent 2? I'm interested in the Next Percent 2. I'm glad it doesn't look like they're changing very much of it. I don't think it really needs to be changed very much. But it looks like there's going to be a little bit more kind of like structure around like the toe box, like along the connection of where the upper meets the midsole towards the front. And so I don't know if there's also going to be like coming along with that a little bit of, I don't know if they're, I suspect they might be tinkering with some of the densities of the foam in that area as well. I'm not sure. I'll have to like wear them and kind of find out for that. But I think it'll be interesting to see what they've done to tweak that shoe to make it more competitive against the Adios Pro, which I think is its biggest competition. And then the Peg 38, I don't know. I'm underwhelmed by the change because as far as I can tell, it's the same midsole, just like we were saying with Dr. Josh. Quote unquote same. So we'll see if they make any changes with it. But it's supposed to be the same midsole as the 37 in terms of React midsole, and then that giant Zoom Air pod. Well, it's not really Zoom Air. It looks like a giant, just regular airbag. But I guess I haven't cut mine open to see what they're like on the inside. But and then the upper is supposed to just get more comfortable, it seems. So like everything's puffy, which again, I'm not a big fan of when things get puffy. I mean, I've said in a video before, like I've never asked for like a running shoe and been like, this shoe would be great if it had more puffiness to it. But it seems like this seems to be the trend. I don't know. I think that the running companies have got this one wrong. If like puffiness is the trend for 2021. If that's the case, it's going to be a disappointing year. But but we'll have to see, because like the Pegasus are never terrible. They're always great. They're always one of the best shoes of the year. So it's like, they're not going to really, last year they took a lot of chances on it and changed up a whole lot. So this year they probably won't change up a lot. But from what I've seen so far, I'm kind of like, it just looks kind of like how like Nike will sometimes put out like a new version of a shoe and not necessarily call it the next year, but like with the Zoomfly, the Zoomfly SP, it seems like a Peg 37 SP, or like what Torin does with like they've got the 4.5 and the 4.5 plush, or 4 and then 4.5 plush. It's just like a Pegasus 37 plush. I don't know. We'll see. There's only one way to find out. Simon Wesley says, have you taken the new Epic React Infinity 2 for a ride? The midsole arch is so aggressive with the plastic clip digging in. I had to send my back as it was so narrow. I haven't run in the Infinity 2. I ran in the Infinity 1. It was okay. It was a little bit weird with that clip. I didn't notice it too much. I think it's going to help a lot of people. I think the main feature for me on that shoe is the width of the platform that you're landing on. And I felt like that was pleasant. But I didn't love the shoe. I don't think I'll be running in the Infinity 2 this year. So I'll probably pass on it, especially since like two people that whose opinions I respect are having problems with it. Probably makes me even less likely to review it. So I probably won't. But again, I thought that they didn't change like the way that like the heel clip thing is. So people were saying that it's the same as it was last year. So I don't know. Sean Marshall says, is whiskey an endorsed local numbing agent? Well, it wasn't for me when we were in high school, but I suppose it could help. But I mean, I suppose ice inhibits a recovery as well. So, I mean, I guess to say that like the problem with alcohol is that it slows down recovery. But I suppose the mechanism of slowdown would be a little bit different. But whiskey isn't necessarily good for local numbing. I mean, it's more of general numbing, I guess, but it is pleasant. So, yeah. Let's see, Scott or Chris was saying, where'd it go? Something about taking Advil every day being a great way to hurt your liver. Yeah, for sure. It's not great. Not great. Stevie76 says, is this an Advil sponsorship? I mean, I feel like the day that like I get approached by a pharmaceutical company is the day where I'm like, oh, I'm definitely like the old guy running now. But no, I'm not sponsored by Advil. I don't think Advil sponsors people. What was the company that sponsored Shaq? The stuff that goes on in the back, and that's the one where that meme comes from, where he's doing like that dance, right? What's that? What was that? It's not Ben Gay. It's like sports cream or something like that. I don't know. Nifty Ninja says Advil is just a brand name from ibuprofen. Yeah, it is. It is. I remember one time, my wife. This is when we were dating, and she wasn't aware of that. And she's like, "I need some ibuprofen." I'm like, "You mean Advil?" She's like, "No, I want ibuprofen." Now, granted, in her defense, she had like a giant headache at the time, or she wasn't feeling well. So, I think she thought I was being probably facetious or something. But I was like, "It's the same thing." She's like, "Are you sure?" I'm like, "It says it right on the side." But that was a very, very long time ago. Cooper Davis says, "Hey Kofuzi, I'm not sure if you still train by heart rate, but what made you start training by heart rate?" Well, I've just felt like I still am. I'm using more of, I don't know. I was calling it a polarized approach. I'm not sure if that's necessarily it. I think pyramidized approach is probably more accurate because I don't spend a ton of time like in zone 5, like at max heart rate. But I do try to spend, about 80% of my time in low heart rate zone. The thing that made me start doing it is that I felt like I had lost a sense of what easy was. And so like, I was just like, I need to reset. I need to figure out something else that's like easy is what feels easy. I need some sort of metric to help me figure out what's easy. And the heart rate seemed to be like, that seemed to make sense to me. So that's kind of like how I started along that path. Let's see. Ivan Russ says Vomero 15 ? It's not available in the US. I don't think it is. So I'm not going to be able to get that. I am eagerly anticipating the Vomero 16. And the Vomero in the US usually comes out like November-ish. It comes out late in the year. Or maybe it comes out like later in the winter, I think, if I remember correctly. So the Vomero 15 hit in the UK, I think a month ago, maybe. But my understanding is that they might accelerate the Vomero 16 and get that into the US. So I'm hoping that we'll see a Vomero 16 soon. All right, I'm back. Sorry about that, guys. We've been having some weird issues with the internet here. My daughter's been having some issues too. Josh says, I've been going by heart rate. I'm looking into getting a blood lactate counter where you prick your finger. Is that something that's available? I don't know if that's a good thing or bad thing. I mean, you have medical training, so like, this would be different. I mean, I could figure out how to use one of those. But is that all you would need? I mean, you're actually looking at your blood lactate? So then you would get your lactate threshold rather than a ventilatory threshold. So that'd be an interesting way to look at it too. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how different like the actual lab type of VO2 max type tests when you got all the gear on your face are from like the kind of stuff that you can get off your watch, which are like the estimates of that. But I feel like that's probably going to get me close enough, I think, at my level to like establish training zones. So I think I'll probably stay with that. I think I do need to maybe update that. I was thinking about it the other day, is I'd like to try and redo that max heart rate test that you could do with the Polar Watch. It's a weird test. Well, it's not weird. It's very much like a VO2 max test, or what I understand of them. I've never done one. Where it just keeps having you run faster and faster until you just can't run anymore, until you run to failure. I'd like to do that one again, and just to make sure like my heart rate numbers are lining up with where I think they should be. So that's interesting. Hamish Thomas says, "Hey Kofuzi, what's the durability of the Nike Alpha Fly like? Does it last longer than the Vaporfly?" I don't have personal knowledge on it. I think I'm like 60 or 70 miles into my Alpha Fly. Ben Johnson 763 on Instagram, he's gone through a couple of pairs of his, and he thinks that they last much longer. He's gotten one over 400 miles on it, and he said that they were great, and just like the rubber was wearing down. So he picked up another pair. So he's got a couple of pair of Alpha Fly, but he's someone that you can ask. He's gone through a couple of pair, but I do think they last longer than the Vaporfly. Than the 4%, yeah, for sure, definitely. The way that I think the big, I don't want to say Achilles heel, but like the big problem with the Vaporfly in terms of the durability were two things. One, I think the Vaporfly, the Zoom X was the softest of all the Vaporfly formulations, but also the way that they inlaid the rubber in the heel part of the Vaporfly 4%, it lended itself that when you scuffed up your Zoom X foam and the Vaporfly 4%, that like those inlaid pieces of rubber would fall out. And so then you had a hole, not a giant one, but like an indent or a hole in your Vaporflies. And that's, I think, what ruined it for a lot of people. The next percents, I felt comfortable racing in mine up to 125 miles. Like I'd feel comfortable stepping up to a line at the 125 mile mark, and then keeping it as a training shoe for another 100 miles. I think I could definitely do that. So like, they're getting better. I don't think it's quite so much like it was when the 4% first came out. But again, I do think that those 4% were like very, very soft. I really liked the softness of it. All right. Remy says, the how long does it last question should be answered with respect to how much you weigh. Just saying. Yeah. Certainly your mileage may vary, literally, kind of situation. But someone's weight, but also their foot strike and what they're typically running on, I think also came into play. Brandon says, can we get a program for big-footed people where the NBA players donate their lightly worn shoes to regular tall people? Can't find a 15 to save my life. That's a tough problem, because I know even once you get to like size 13, I know that it gets really hard to find shoes, and at that point, you're not going to get half sizes. So I don't know. I don't have that problem. I'm a size 9, so I'm very different than a size 15. I think the closest that the person that I think probably that would be like the champion of that cause would be Andy, FOD runner. I think he wears a 13, so he'd be one person. But like, it reminds me of like, do you guys watch a Homer Simpson? Like what does he wear? Like a 14 or a 15? So it's hard for him to get a lot of these like rare shoes at the sizes that he needs. So, he doesn't do running shoes, but he runs into that problem all the time. Martha says, Kofuzi, but you were the next percent for the tunnel. That was dirt and gravel. The soles would have lasted longer on the road, don't you think? I mean, I think it depends on like the foot strike. If like a lot of people, I mean, the tunnel marathon, it was gravel's not really the right word for it. It's like access road, so it's like a lot of dirt. So while the strange thing was after I ran the tunnel marathon in a pair of next percents, I looked down at, I took my shoes off and I looked at the soles, and it looked like it looked crazy. It looked like someone had just like stabbed the bottom of it because the rocks had like kind of like punctured or like like dug into the rubber parts of the outsole. And then I looked at him again like a week or maybe like I don't know. I don't think when was the next time I would have looked at him. I probably didn't look at him for another month and a half or so. And when I did, it seemed like they had kind of healed themselves, or at least the rubber had had a chance to kind of like recover a little bit, as did some of the rest of the exposed foam. And so I think it just depends on how you're using them as well. So there's a lot of things that can go into it. But yeah, I mean, I think I could have gotten them lasting longer if I had run instead of that marathon, which was downhill and on dirt surfaces with some rocks. If I had run instead like a flat road course, I guess depending on the temperature, I think I could have gotten even longer out of it. So, I mean, kudos to them that they're figuring out ways to make these shoes last longer than like 100 miles, like we used to think that's all they could last. And then Jeff mentioned that I think Ben Parks has popped a couple of the AirPods on the Alpha Flies. Was it on his Alpha Flies or was it on his Tempo Nexts? Because they both of them have like a similar AirPod. I don't know if they're the same AirPod. But I know he's gone through a couple of pairs of the Tempo Next percents, but he loves that shoe. He's been running like crazy in it. But yeah, I mean, it could be. All right, let's do a couple more and then I get going for today. I got to make dinner early before I head over to the next live stream that I'll be on. But yeah, so let's get a couple more. Zanik L3 says, do you have a weekly set distance goal? If yes, how much? I've been maintaining doing minimum 70K weekly now for 12 weeks. Pretty much all easy run, below 160 heart rate. Well, that's great. For the winter time, it's changed. The winter time mileage is usually a lot less because I'm not usually training for a marathon. So I'm just trying to maintain fitness through the winter months and not have like a big kind of like lapse in training. My main goal going into the spring, once the temperature starts to warm up, is to be in a position to start working hard. I don't want to have to be in a position where I'm like trying to get back to where I was at the end of last fall kind of thing. Now, that being said, I don't try to maintain my level of fitness from the fall all the way throughout the winter. So a couple of years ago, my goal, like 3 years ago, my first winter running, I was happy to get I was running probably like 50 miles a week, maybe topping out towards the 60s. And then my goal for the winter was like 40 miles a week. So, a little bit of a reduction. Right now, I'm trying to hit about like mid 50s to mid 60s in terms of miles. So I don't know what that correlates to in kilometers. So it's at like 80 something to like 100 something kilometers is what I'm shooting for, where I like to be like in the 70s in the summertime. So again, a little bit of a reduction in terms of my overall mileage. The intensity goes down too. So, it's just taking it a little bit easier on myself. That being said, with the way 2020 was, my 2020 summer running wasn't very intense and I had a knee injury. So there wasn't a lot of intensity. So I'm actually having more intensity now than I did in the fall. But so that's how I'm kind of generally looking at it, where it's less than normal, but only because it's hard to get out there in the wintertime because the elements are difficult to deal with at times. So that's the main reason. I think if I were in an area where it was warm all year round, or it wasn't eyelashes are freezing cold all year round, I think that my goals might be a little bit different. But I also feel like, it's not bad to have a phase of the year where things aren't quite as intense. I think that works for me in terms of being able to run year round and enjoy it and not get into too many funks. So that's kind of my thought on that. All right, I think that's a great place to end it for today. let's see. I get that right there. Tomorrow's video, I'm not sure exactly what it's going to be. It'll probably be pretty similar to today's video, more of like, hey, I'm back in Chicago. All the stuff that I used to know really, really well, that I still really know well, but it kind of doesn't feel as familiar anymore. So it'll be another one of those, maybe. I'm not sure. But a lot of today was reloading. You know, I got some new products, some exciting things that I'm going to be showing you guys in a couple of days. So that's pretty exciting. I'm working on some of that stuff that's coming. And tomorrow we'll do another live stream, same time, 3 p.m. Central Time. It'll be happy hour, so bring your recovery drink of choice. And hopefully I'll see you here 3 p.m. Central Time right on YouTube. In the meantime, be safe out there, everybody. Thanks.